Okay, everyone, welcome back to Breslov Efrat here at Shira David. And again, we're learning this week, Baruch HaShem, because of the beautiful simcha of the daughter of David Jerome, Nachal Libi, Mitzvah Hashem. She should grow up to bring a lot of Yiddish nachas to her family, to all the Klal Yisrael. And we should see her grow up and be very well and healthy.
Amen.
Okay.
Let her father sleep at night. Let her father sleep at night.
Amen. Both parents should sleep at night. Why not? Hey, it's HaShem. Okay, so let's see. So today we're in Likutey, Halachos, Hilchos Netilas Yadayim, Shachris Dalet, and today we're going to do letter Tes. So yesterday we were talking about, just to remind ourselves, we're still in lesson Samachei, lesson 65 of Likutey Moran. This whole section of Likutey Halachos is based on that lesson. And then we spoke about yesterday when the person has the Rishimu, that trace that comes back, and he needs the Mayach, and that's why we have the Tzitzis. And we said that the Tzitzis, you have to psil techeles. Techeles is the same words as tachlis. Because when you look at the tzitzis, you're supposed to remember what's my tachlis in this world. Unbelievable, right? Unbelievable. And then we said the same way, when we put on the tzitzis, we recognize that the tzitzis is a garment for the guf. So too is the mayach, the mind, is the garment for the seichel. So I'm preparing, and I have to fix the mind up in order to be makabel that beautiful rishimu that we get, that trace that comes when we're connected to the Rebbeinu Shalom. And now we're going to see, and we said, and also tefillin. So what are the two things we do? We have tzitzis and tefillin. So now we're going to talk a little bit about tefillin today. So here we go.
We said tchelet, tachlit, listaklus. It's all the same.
Staklut.
I listened to the first half of yesterday.
Okay.
I didn't think I heard that.
All right, Baruch Hashem. Well, we'll see. Okay, let's go. V'alkein hukshu kol haTorah l'tefillin, and therefore the whole Torah is there's everything is learned from tefillin. You can learn. I know we're going to see this. Really can learn everything out of every mitzvah, but specifically tefillin. We'll see. Not see why. K'meisha kosuv u'lezikaron beinei necha, and you should have a remembrance beinei necha. Interesting that it says Beinei Necha. Watch what he says now. Leman tia teres Hashem beficha. Right? This is a word. This is a pasuk in Shemais. Ulezikaron Beinei Necha leman tia teres Hashem beficha. So in other words, you should have the tefillin Beinei Necha, right? Not like those doodle had said, Beinei Necha. They hung it, Yeah, but we understand what that means, right? We put the tefillin on top. Okay. Because this light that we get, that comes from the Rishimu every night when we close our eyes and we go to sleep the right way, and then we get up the right way, and then we wash our hands properly. Again, Hilchos Netilas Yadayim Shachris, right? We wash our hands the right way, and then we put on the tzitzis and the tefillin, so then we can tap into that that beautiful light from the Rishimu that we accomplished while we were asleep. Hu bechinas tefillin. So look at this. The Rishimu, the R of the Rishimu, is an aspect of tefillin. Shehem ikra advekus l'Hashem yisbarach, because the tefillin is our main connection, our main bond to the Rebbeinu Shalom. Right? We put it on. We put the tefillin on our arm. Right? We put the tefillin on our head. Right? And we make the word. We always have shatkai. It's with that, right? Because we have the shin on the roish of the tefillin. We have the dalet on the back, and then the yud is the what do you call it? The tefillin shel yad. No, on the no. If you look at the little kesher on there, that's the yud. So now you have shatkai, and that's what Shaima La'olam Dai. Hakadosh Baruch Hu is. We're remembering that the Rebbeinu Shalom is running the world mamish. Shehem ikya or hazricha shel reshimu kamuvam bekama mekaymes. So that is the main. That is the ikar zricha. That's the main shining. What's zricha? How you like to translate that? Zricha, shining. Illumination. The greatest illumination from the Rishimu comes from when we put on the tefillin. I always like to think of the tefillin as like a connection. It's like an antenna. We're connected to the Rabbeinu Shalom. You know, we put it on. Unbelievable. And all the Torah mitzvahs are learned out from the Tzitzis and learned out from Teffilin. Now we know that at the end of time, when Mashiach is going to come, and Mitzvah Hashem will be very soon, everyone's going to point with their fingers at Keli v'Yaveyu, right? They'll see the greatness of the Rabbeinu Shalom. V'chol echad mara be'etzbay, right? Ayin sham v'tzitzis hu b'chinas tikkun al levushin. Yesterday we learned about tzitzis is the tikkun for the levushin, right? Tikkun for our garments. Our main garments are not our shirt and pant. The main garments that we wear are our tzitzis and our tefillin. These are our main garments. These are the main things, and that's the tzitzis is the tikkun for all of our garments. Right? Get it? In other words, it's not that we think, I'm going to go get a nice fancy suit and this and that. No, but the main garment is the tzitzis, is the talis, the tzitzis, and the tefillin. Shehem ha-kelim. Those are the kelim kidei sheyu ha-kelim zakim. So therefore, the kelim should be cleansed. They should be clean. It wouldn't leave from them. That's the whole point. In other words, we're learning here, right? We're learning how can we tap into the or that we get from the Rishimu every morning. How do we tap into it? How do we make it part of our life? How do we benefit by it? So notice, so now we're learning that when you're putting on the tzitzis, and again, like we said yesterday, if you realize, you look at the psil techeles, and you see the tzitzis, and then you remember the Yam Suf, right? And remember the whole thing the whole world that's in the Yam Suf, how HaKadosh Baruch Hu is running that, and we have no clue. So the same way we think we have a clue what's going on in this world, we have no clue. The same way we have no clue what's going on in the Yam Suf. We really can never say, no one can say they have any idea what's going on down there, right? The whole world down there, right? And then you look up in the sky, and then you see the blue, right? You see the blue again. That's Chazal tell us that. You see the blue, and you remember, wow, look at the way HaKadosh Baruch Hu created everything. And then it reminds you to the Kisei HaKavod, and that's the Tachlis where the Neshama came from, Tachas Kisei HaKavod. Unbelievable. It's such a nice idea. Because if a person would only be able to remember this illumination. Thank you, David. This illumination, Shela Rishima, that comes from the trace every day. Each person according to their own level. Everyone has this, can benefit by this. Every single person, you and me, we can all benefit by this. Everyone will feel it and experience it in a different way because we're on different levels. But everyone can taste it, can have a taste of it. And that's the secret of how we can cling and be connected to the Rabbeinu Shalom all the way. So yeah.
Can you say it again outside? So there's a Rishimo from my sleep.
Right, no, it's shame because you close your eyes.
Close my eyes.
When you close your eyes, we said, what do you do, David?
I'm experiencing.
Right, you're not seeing seeing this world, and it means you're connecting. Your seichel leaves the mayach, it goes and connects up on high.
It comes back. My malach is not a vessel that can handle all of that. But there's a Rishima.
There's a little trace that comes back.
Say outside to me.
How
tell us and help me with that.
No, so now now in the morning when you put on, what do? You first you say Maidani, you wash your hands, and then what do? You put on your tzitzis. You put on the tzitzis. So why do you put on the tzitzis? The first thing we put on, the first mitzvah we have of the day really is the tzitzis, right? You put on the tzitzis, and you see the strings, and you see the tchelas. I know, as I understand that when we said we're not going to get involved if it's tchelis or not, but you remember the psil tchelis.
So there's remembrance.
Right, so the tchelis is reminding me my tachlis. And how can I remember my tachlis? If I tap into that rishimu. Where was my neshama just a moment ago? Where was my neshama 2 moments before when I got up? I washed my hands quickly and I put on my tzitzis. Where was the neshama a few moments ago? It was up on high. So it helps me remember that. It helps me, and then when you remember that, and you can remember that during the day, and you remember that constantly during the day, that brings a person to dveikas b'Hashem, and that's how we can all be connected to Hashem. Tamid amidst Hashem. Wow. Achmeichmas gashmias va'kiras hakelim eina yachal lekabel afilu ara reshimu. But because we have the gashmias, because we're so involved in physicality in the world, so we so to say overlook. It's there. The Rishimu is there every day. It's there every day. But unfortunately, because of the physicality that the Guf experiences in this world, because why? We said that when a person we said is stockless. Sasha mentioned that before, right? We said yesterday, is stockless. What's the point of a stockless? David, just to fill you in. When you want to see something afar, what do? You squint. You focus in. What are you doing? You're closing out the peripheral vision, and you're focusing on what you need. So when you do that, you're not getting involved in this world. But unfortunately, if you don't remember to close your eyes once in a while, and you don't remember to focus in on what my tachlis is, so then I get so fablunged just from being in the world, and I get all the sidetracked from everything going on. And therefore it passes, the Rishima passes, and there's no remembrance of it. You don't remember it. But it was there, and it's there every single morning, because every single night when we go to sleep, the neshama goes up on high. And we say in Maidani, what do we say in Maidani? You just gave me back my neshama. Where was my neshama? It wasn't here. It went up on high. Right? Is this every morning? David, are we saying it right? You like that? Every morning. Unreal. But again, if we don't know how to tap into this, and this is what Rav Nosson is doing again, he's showing us the beauty and the mitzvahs and why we're doing our mitzvahs. What's the seder? How did Chazal set things up for us? Why do we put the tzitzis on first thing at night? Why do we not sleep with tzitzis? Right? You don't sleep with tzitzis. You don't sleep with tzitzis because you're sleeping. You don't need that. You're sleeping. There's no, you're in the tachlis. You're with the Rebbeinu, so you're in the tachlis. But then there's no tachlis, there's nothing. So I'm in the tachlis. So I don't need to look at it to be to remember the tachlis, right? Okay. But again, if a person doesn't tap into these things, so then it's just fleeting. And therefore the Torah commands us that we should wear tzitzis b'chol yom kidei lezachech hakelim, in order for us to cleanse our kelim. And what's the keli? What's the kli we're talking about? Our mayach. The keli, the real kli is our mayach. What's the mayach? The mayach is where our intellect can rests in. So notice, if you want to be able to benefit by this illumination, right? From this illumination, how are you going to do it? By fixing the kelim, and that's why you have to wear the tzitzis hakelim alavush. Okay, kadei sheyuchlu lekabel or rishimu, in order for me to be able to accept. They know it's there. It's like the example we said yesterday. If it's raining outside and you want water. So if you don't get, you could sit there and hope I want water all day long, but while it's raining. But if you don't get a bucket, you don't get a cup, you don't get something to collect it, it's going to be gone. You're not going to benefit by it. So too is this. The Rishimu is there. But how do you get the Kli, how do you prepare the Kli in order to be Makabel the Rishimu, in order to bring it to Dveikis during the day? That's what we're learning, okay? So that's the tzitzis, okay? Shehi klal mitzvahs haTorah, and we said yesterday that tzitzis is the klal mitzvahs haTorah. It says like this: "Urisem ma'isa yuschatem is kol mitzvahs Hashem." We'll repeat it one more time. David, you ever wonder why, when you say these words, "Urisem ma'isa yuschatem is kol mitzvahs Hashem"? How can you remember all the mitzvahs when you look at the tzitzis? So Rav Nosson writes in Hilchos Tzitzis that in mitzvah Hashem we're going to get to. I mentioned it yesterday, but we can really mention this every day. We have the tzitzis there are 8 strands on each corner, right? So if you take 8 and you have 4 corners, so you have 32. 32 is gematria leiv, right? 32 is leiv. Leiv is also the lamed of the last word of the Torah is le'enei kol Yisrael. Le'enei kol Yisrael. Lamed is the last letter in the Torah. Yisrael, the last letter in the Torah is Lamed. What's the first letter in the Torah? Beis. So when I look at my tzitzis, and I'm holding all my tzitzis, and I see it's 32, I can remember that I have the whole Torah is really in here, from the end to the beginning, from the beginning to the end. The whole Torah is in the tzitz. And I can remember an unbelievable idea from Reb Nosson on how to recognize it. Because the tzitzis, like we explained, right, is the tikkun, is the repair for the kli hamaychen. The mind itself is the real vessel. That's the vessel that we're trying to perfect. That's the vessel we're trying to cleanse. Because if we do that, we can benefit by the Rishimu. By days in Niksheres, Heitev Azricha, Shela Rishimu b'mayach, and then you can have a good bond. You can have a good connection from this Zrichu to the from the Rishimu and the Mayach, from that trace, from the illumination in the mind. And now you can remember the Rebbeinu Shalom during the day. We say, what's the main das? When we say das, it's to remember Hashgacha Pratis. It's all Hashgacha Pratis. Remember, Nassim taught us that, right? When we say in das, what's das? The das, to know it's all you, Hashem. Shezeh bechinas klal mitzvahs haTorah sheyotzim mimenu. Okay, shezeh bechinas smichas tzitzis u'tefillin. Sheyisrael leifshim b'chol yoyim talis u'tefillin. And that's the reason why we have in Kriya Shema, we talk about tzitzis and we talk about tefillin, right? In Kriya Shema. So these two mitzvahs are intricately connected. Talis and tzitzis and talis. Ki tefillin hein bechinas araz richu shel rishima, because the tefillin themselves is the illumination. Is the illumination that we have from the zricha, from we have from the rishima, from the trace that's left for us. That is the vehicle that we can use. V'tzitzis heim bechinas tikkun hakelim. And so you have the tzitzis. You first and look how beautiful it is. First you put on the tzitzis, right? You put on the tzitzis, and then you can remember, clean the mind up. And then you put the tefillin on, and the tefillin is the illumination that now the mind can accept because you're wearing the tzitzis. So that's why they ever wondered, why do you put your tzitzis on, the talis on first, and then you put on the tefillin, right? Right? Isn't it interesting? So now you understand why it's set up that we first put on the talis, the tzitzis, and then we put on our tefillin, right?
This is the vessel, and this is the zricha?
That's it. And then you're fixing the vessel, you're cleansing the vessel with the tzitzis. So now when you put on the zricha, when you put on, it can be accepted. Yeah, fair, right? Nice? Unbelievable. V'alavushim kidei shetia reshimu niksheres bahem v'loi sava mehem. In order that the Rishima should be connected and bound to us. And it shouldn't pass, it shouldn't be fleeting from us. B'chinas laman tizkiru. And in order that I could remember, that we could remember, B'chinas R'isa Ma'isa Yuschartem, like we mentioned before. Al-Kain Tzitzis Kaidim L'Tfilin. Yeah, the Rav Nosson is going to bring it up. Sorry I mentioned it, but I the cat out of the bag, right? Ki Al-Kain Tzitzis Kaidem l'tefillin. Therefore, we have to put on the tzitzis before we put on the tefillin. Ki tchila tzrichin l'sakin u'l'zachay chakelim. Because first I have to fix up my kelim, I have to fix up my vessels. And what's the vessel that we're talking about? Is the mind. Kidei sheyuchlu l'kabel aretz richa shel rishima. In other words, I need to prepare the vessel. The same way like we say when it's raining, you need the vessel. You have to have a vessel. If the vessel has holes in it, if the vessel is cracked, if it's not going to work. So to here we have to have the vessel has to be pure, has to be clean, so it can accept it. And then we can draw in the illumination from the trace. In other words, we have it. It's there. But now how do I draw it in? How do I hone in on it? I can do it through fixing first the mayach, cleansing the mayach, preparing the mind, preparing the vessel, and then when I put on the tefillin, now I have something that the illumination can rest into. Shem bechinas tefillin. Shem ikar hadveikus by Yisbarach. That's the main connection that we have to the Rebbeinu Shalom shenimtzach me'ar azricha, that comes from the ar azricha. V'al kei mitzvahs tefillin gam kein beinayim. And therefore, the mitzvahs of tefillin are also with our eyes. What do you mean with our eyes? Now you wonder why you may have wondered why all these years, right? First of all, taitafais, Rashi tells us, is some kind of African word, right? It's not.
It says Afriki and.
Yeah, he said it's in Afriki. He says it's in Africa.
No, one is it's two languages.
Two languages. Yeah, okay.
Afriki and
Yeah, I remember, but whatever. But it's not.
Yeah.
But and it's beinei necha. Why does the Torah specifically say beinei necha? Why does the Torah say that? Because again, it has to do with our re'us, what we see. In other words, when I have the tefillin on, it reminds me my tachlis. The tzitzis and the tefillin reminds me my tachlis. So it means I have to look at what I need to look at in the world and close out what I don't need to see. Because the whole tefillin is drawn by tikkun einayim, watching what we see, watching what we that's such an important thing. Shmiras einayim. The more a person works on shmiras einayim, the more the person works on that, the more he'll be able to connect to this. And if you take your eyes and you focus your eyes on the tachlis, what's our tachlis? Why am I in this world? What am I supposed to accomplish in this world? Can it be that I'm in this world just to just enjoy things of the world itself? Impossible. Yes, of course we're supposed to enjoy things of the world, but remember, it's all the Rebbeinu Shalom. It's all HaKadosh Baruch Hu. That's the main thing that we have to remember. Anything that we enjoy, it's HaKadosh Baruch Hu. He gave it to us, and we have to thank HaKadosh Baruch Hu for it. From there we draw the Ara Azricha, the beautiful illumination Shel Rishima from the trace Anisham Misham Shemisham Ara Gadol Shel Tefillin, and that is the great light that comes from that we have from our Tefillin. Do we have any more time? We have 5 more minutes. I can do Yud. Let's do Yud, okay? We have 5 more minutes? Yeah, okay. Valkena mitzvah b'secheles shehi hischabris shechor lovan keyaduha. Right? So now we know. Look at this now. B'secheles is shechor and lovan together. What does it mean? You have black and white together. Is black and white together? Is mixed together? What does that mean? Look at this. In Siman and Torah Yud Ches, Haynu bechinas klala Torah shu bechinas eish shechayra al gabe eish levaina. So there's a very famous teaching that there's a black fire on a white fire, right? And what is that? What's the black fire on the white fire? That's the Torah, the tefillin, the cloth on your tefillin also. Right, the cloth, the empty spaces is the white fire. The letters themselves is the black fire. It's the black fire on the white fire. Right, we all heard this before, right? This is not okay. Because all the Torah comes from this concept of the eish shechayra gabe eish levaina. It's always again the whole Torah is there to help me to look at. When I see the Torah and I see that black fire and I see the white fire, I can remember the Rishimu. I can remember from looking at the Tcheles. I can see the Tcheles. It reminds me of the Tachlis. And then it reminds me of what I have to look at in the world and what I'm supposed to negate from what I see. Exactly. Shehu bechinas techeles shemitzvah lerois tamid. That's the mitzvah of techeles that you have to see it all the time. You should see it always and remember it. And how do you do that? You do it through the tzitzis, through the tefillin. So then again, one more time just to review, the tzitzis is so important for us because why the tzitzis is so important? Because the tzitzis is a kli. The same way I put the tzitzis on my guf. Right? Why do you put the tzitzis on your guf? You put it on your body. Again, because you realize that you're taking the kli, putting it on. So the same way, that's a kli. So I know my mayach is also a kli. My mayach is also a kli. And the same way I have to clean up my garments, which is what's my main garment is the mayach. And if I work on that to remember the tachlis from the tchelis, I can remember the tachlis, so then I can clean up the mayach, then I can benefit by the illumination that came through the rishimu, the trace that we had from when we went to sleep. And then you put on the tefillin, and that's what puts the package all together. That's where you get where you really pull down the Ara Azricha, really, and it really can connect to the mind, to the mayach. And if you focus in on that, you can have a great day of Dveikus B'Hashem. Any questions?
Beautiful. And I have a minhag, and I think it probably relates that before I make kiddush, even if it's a clean cup, I wipe it out with a napkin. I think it's the same idea. I think it's the idea of preparation of the kli
Well, we have I have a minute that we wash it out. Tina and Shtifa. You take. I wash out the cup.
The same way, maybe preparing the kli.
It's preparing the kli, and then also Chazal told us that you're supposed to always water down your wine.
Right.
So now when our minhag is there's 3 drops and we put 3 drops into the bottle from the thing. So that's the kli, and I'm preparing the kli and I'm preparing that's from there. Yeah. It's a beautiful idea.
For a while we used the water by the Baal Shem's mikvah, the water space.
Yeah.
Okay. We'll put that in the Kiddush cup.
I got some more bottles.
Okay, Baruch Hashem, everyone. Shkoyach, everyone.